with any change, there's always some threat of attrition. How soon do you reach out to some of those guys, and have you gotten some good feedback from some of the signings already? And also, guys like Rodney Hood you mentioned, how important is it to keep guys like that in the program?
Well, obviously, the most important, recruits are the guys already on our team. So we're going to reach out to, the guys that we have signed. But, rest assured, I always feel like the most important recruits are the guys already on the team. So, Rodney Hood is a guy that's very, very important to our program. But one thing I don't want to do here is I don't want to belittle the rest of the guys on the team. Every guy I'm going to recruit just as hard as I'm recruiting Rodney Hood, because we want all those guys in our program. And so, I've reached out to some of the guys, I've gotten some guys, I've text messaged some guys, and some of the feedback has been really, really good. But, at the end of the day, those guys don't know me yet. So I can't give you an answer about exactly, this guy felt great about it, this guy did feel good about it, because, it's just been one time. But so, maybe I can answer that question here 2 weeks from now. But it's going to be a steady process of me reaching out to them, getting a dialogue with those guys and see where things go from there.
Greg Brad Mark from the Daily Journal in Tupelo. Just the situation coming in, kind of a tough season, the way it ended, and some players leaving school early. I mean, when you looked at that, what were your thoughts when you were approached for this job?
Well, I don't think that should hinder, how you feel about the program. Those things happen when you have a coaching change. Very rarely is there a smooth transition, when that happens. So it's something to be expected at that point in time. So, I just want to make sure we go in and we make sure we don't have more attrition. That's the key.
Coach Paul Jones from Bulldogs 24/7. You talked about getting to know the recruiting strategy in the South. How much does your Midwest ties also help in that fact?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear the last part.
How much does your Midwest ties also help in recruiting down here?
Well, I think it helps to a degree. Here's the thing I want to make sure that you guys understand. We want to build from the in out. Obviously Mississippi is the most important thing in our recruiting, okay? And then after Mississippi is the border states, okay? We want to make sure we go into Tennessee, we want to go into Arkansas, we want to go into Louisiana. But we want to make sure we put a wall around Mississippi. Now, we want to go out and recruit the Midwest and things like that, but that's not going to be our emphasis. If there's a specific time that I might have, or one of the assistants that I may have, then we're going to go after that guy, we're going to go after him hard. But we're not going to be spending an inordinate amount of time in Chicago or Indianapolis or anything like that. I think it's foolish, okay? With this day and age of recruiting, it's going earlier and earlier, okay? And you have an advantage with your own guys in your state because they can get on your campus and you can have face-to-face contact with those guys earlier than anyone else. So I think you're kind of foolish if you want to concentrate on someplace outside of your state at this point in time.
Rick Van Stevens, Commercial Dispatch in Columbus. What kind of apprehension do you have about finally being a head coaching chair, and what do you feel like makes you ready for that, this opportunity right now?
Well, I tell you one thing, Brad Brownell, he named me associate head coach for a reason. Is it because he had a lot of belief that I can do things for him? Now, I'm going to be moving over 36 inches, into that head chair, and it's something that could be daunting for other people. But with my background, as far as making sure that I always work for guys that gave me a lot of responsibility in the program, I don't think I look at it as far as being something that's going to be a problem. I relish the opportunity, and I don't foresee a situation where I'm going to be nervous or not, confident in my abilities to get the job done.
Hey, Greg. Bob Garstad, Bulldog Sports Radio. I know you said you want to take your time hiring your assistants. Do you have guys in mind, and have you thought about retaining some of the guys from the previous staff?
Well, I'm going to answer this question as directly as I can, okay? My goal is to sit down and talk with the current staff here, and I would like to have at least one guy to retain from that staff. Now, we got to be on the same page. Guys got to understand what I want, out of a program, what I want out of an assistant, my vision for the program. And, they always talk about loyalty among assistants. I got to make sure I have that person's loyalty, in the program. So that would be my first goal. My second goal is I want to go out and get somebody who knows me, knows my system. And so that when I'm out recruiting, I can make sure that things are being taught the way I want them to be taught. I have a couple guys in mind. I've reached out to those guys already. We We want to see what happens. I need to sit down and talk to Scott about specifics as far as like the staff. But that's the other thing. And then the last guy, I want a wild card. You know, I want a guy that recruits me. I want a guy that really wants to come to Mississippi State basketball. So I'm going to leave that one open and see what happens. And I want a guy that's going to pursue me, pursue this job. And they always talk about like that stray cat sometimes, your most loyal cat. And we're going to see what happens.
Coach Danny Smith from the Storm News. You've worked in other conferences. Can you just talk about your knowledge of the Southeastern Conference and the challenges that lie there?
Well, Southeast Conference basketball has always been thought of secondary to football. And I think what's happened is the evolution, you know, probably more than anything, Kentucky basketball has made everybody else, you know, up their game if we want to continue to be successful in the SEC. So that's one thing, you know. While we was at Clemson, obviously our rival here is South Carolina, so I'm very familiar with the SEC in that regard. And when I was also at Clemson, every year we scrimmaged Georgia as far as one of our exhibition games. So I'm really familiar with those two teams, but like I'm a student of the game. I always go out and watch things because I want to learn about basketball, what's making other people be successful. And I think, you know, the reputation around the SEC used to be like, you go there to play football, and now I think everybody's seeing the SEC has some really good basketball as well too now.